Welcome to the T-Bird Zone, streamed every week on SUUTbirds.com and SUUnews.com. You can also catch us on YouTube, and we are previewing the game with University of Northern Iowa coming up this Saturday in Cedar Falls at 5 p.m. Coach, UNI, they're a solid team. They're 7-2 on the year. Their only losses are to Iowa State in their first game, 20-19, and then a couple weeks ago against North Dakota State, who's leading the Missouri Valley Football Conference. That lost 27-19. I think their last three games have been really close. What have you seen on tape looking at UNI? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses?
Well, I think their strength is probably that they have been close. I think they're very comfortable playing a close game. They have a championship history. They have a long tradition. They have outstanding facilities and athletes and coaching staff that's been around a long time, been very successful. So they don't panic. And quite like a lot of the teams that we play on our schedule, we have a very difficult schedule. And as we go through the season, jumping out on a team by 10 or 14 points is not going to make anybody roll over. And I think that's why UNI has had the success they've had. Number one, they have very good athletes that are very well coached, but they also expect to win. They expect to win from start to finish of the game, and the ebbs and flows of emotion and momentum really don't affect them.
How does their home field advantage? They play in a dome. They're in Cedar Falls. And again, Southern Utah has played many teams in domes now. How does the ambiance, I guess, for lack of a better word, there at UNI compared to like a South Dakota or a North Dakota State?
Number one, it's the crowd impact. Dome crowds, they understand that they can have a huge impact on the game. We've learned that the hard way against South Dakota this year and other years and against other dome teams. I've coached a dome team before at the University of Idaho, and that was something that we emphasized, something that we talked about, something that our fans talked about and practiced, getting loud on third down. And Northern Iowa has a wonderful environment that way. It'll be a great challenge for our guys, but at the same time, a lot of fun. Inside the dome, it's artificial turf, as you'd imagine, and that's something different and something that we don't practice on a daily basis. And then the lighting in an indoor facility is always the same for Northern Iowa, but for us it's going to be new and different. And the temperature and the humidity, everything that factors into it's going to be an advantage for the home team, and for the road team, it's a challenge.
I was looking at their offensive stats. On paper, they look very balanced. They average 160 yards rushing, 200 yards passing. They also limit their turnovers, where they've only given up 2 interceptions and then given up 9 fumbles on the year. What is it about the offense that maybe concerns you the most going into this weekend?
This is not a team. They do have a Peyton Award, a watch list candidate in their quarterback, Tyrell Rennie, who's been a little bit banged up with his knee and his ankle, and I guess he's questionable for our game. But the backup, Jared Lamper, has played very well in his place, and they continued to win, and they beat a very good Youngstown State team a week ago. Each quarterback has their strengths, and the team rallies around them. So I don't think this is one of those weeks where we say, we need to shut down number 2 and number 7 and number 10 or whatever. This is a week where you've got an outstanding offensive line that we're going to be going against, one of the biggest in America, one of the most physical in America, a coaching staff that understands that you've got to run the ball consistently to be successful, and a couple of quarterbacks who do a very good job of distributing the ball to the backs and also to some very athletic wide receivers.
You talked about the starting quarterback who's kind of hampered with a few injuries. It'll be senior day in Cedar Falls, and he is a senior. And he's a very mobile quarterback. In fact, he's the second leading rusher on the team. Southern Utah has played a mobile quarterback when we faced South Dakota. What was learned in that game that the team hopes to carry over into this game at UNI?
As much as these quarterbacks are similar, Dante Warren and Tyrell Rennie and even Lamper, the second quarterback, or who has been the second quarterback for Northern Iowa, their games still vary greatly. So I think it's just an overall mindset that we have to contain and limit a quarterback's yards on broken down plays, and that's really what hurt us against South Dakota. It wasn't that quarterback designed running plays were necessarily the problem. It was third and long situations we've got the pass, the first and second options taken away from the quarterback. He takes off running, we miss a tackle or two, and then all of a sudden they've got a new first down, and they continue to run the clock and keep our offense off the field. That is what we should learn. But if we try to play an improved South Dakota game plan against Northern Iowa, we're going to get our butts kicked. We have to have 100% focus on Northern Iowa.
You talked about when we were recapping that game against Davis, how much the offensive line meant to the rushing game. Coming off of a bye week, there was a few bumps and bruises among that offensive line. Do you anticipate those injuries to be healed and those missing links ready to go for this Saturday?
We've had 3 starters banged up to one degree or another and have missed playing time of some amount. Trevor Showerhammer, who's been playing our left guard position, and Brendan Bettis has been playing our right tackle position, and then Gavin Farr. And so we've had some guys that have filled in and done a nice job, but I think having all our top 8 or 9 guys to be able to have a few days off this past week on the bye week and have been able to hit the weight room hard and hit the rehabilitation efforts hard, I think it's going to pay dividends for us this coming Saturday.
Very good. And, as a coach, with a bye week, it gives you those 2 weeks to prepare for the next opponent. Is there ever a concern during those 2 weeks that the staff begins to maybe to overthink planning, and it's just a matter of we'd rather not have the bye week, let's just play on this Saturday?
Sure. First thing is to answer the tail end of your question, we have the bye week, and there's no discussion about whether or not we would want to have it. We have it, and we prepare it, and we don't talk about having whether we could have a different stadium or a different head coach or a different running back or anything like that. It's what we have. So we take advantage of it in every way. And the challenge, as you said, is is our staff going to try to overanalyze any video and try to put in a special game plan instead of doing a special job of coaching our players from a motivation standpoint, from a fundamental standpoint, and our players too. Are we going to put, as players do, are we going to put too much emphasis on what Northern Iowa does and not enough emphasis on what Southern Utah does well? And so that's the challenge. It's one that we've addressed. It's one that we've emphasized, and Saturday will be the test. And we look forward to that game. Again, that kickoff will be 5 o'clock Mountain Time. You'll be able to listen to that game live on Power 91, the flagship station for all of SU athletics. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next week.